De Beers, I mean, since the very days of Rhodes, has been involved in giving, and I think it was really encapsulated by my grandfather. And that was, he said that companies had to make profits, because if they didn't make profits, they'd go bust. But they had to make profits in a way which made a lasting and long-term contribution to the countries, the regions, and the peoples where they operated. And that had an element, always, of corporate giving in it.
We, as the corporate sector, shouldn't look at CSI as a burden. We shouldn't look at it as depriving us of profits to shareholders. It is an enhancement of the relationship between the company, the shareholders, and the communities that they serve.
We are a firm that believes in wellness and leading a better and healthier life. And what we try and do is make our customers lead a healthier life. And so to move that into the community, we try and spend our money as wisely as possible and influence as many people and change their lives.
Business has a very important role to play in community development, especially in this country where there are significant gaps between the haves and the have-nots. We had a situation in the past where governments and businesses did things for people, and they did things that they thought were important for people. I think a partnership model is a lot more sustainable in the long term because it addresses the fundamental issues with the understanding of what the challenges are that the people face.
In the old days, we just gave money, and that was it. Nowadays, we seek partnerships so that we, have a good relationship with the partner, maybe a provincial government on education, but secondly, we widen the financial footprint. It's quite a big change in the model, and it requires a lot more effort.
And I can't see corporate social responsibility as a competitive area. It is not a competitive area because everybody is trying to do good, and therefore in doing good, it would make a lot of sense for cooperation and collaboration to take place.
But corporate giving is the easy part. What one's got to do is do it in a way which makes a proper and lasting contribution to the societies in which we operate. And that's where a company like Tshikululu played a vital role. And I think that I have a very good example of that. And that is the Clare Booth Hospital in KwaZulu-Natal, where I was taken by President Mandela, and Mandela then simply said that the hospital clearly wasn't operating properly. But that was the easy part, to stand up and say we would do something. What was much more complicated was in deciding how that help would be given. And I think the people at the hospital just wanted a check. They didn't want involvement, they didn't want challenges, they didn't want somebody looking at their plans and seeing if they were going to work or not. But by that stage, the hospital had come to realize that the way it was being done was the right way.
We have developed long-term relationships with communities, 10, 20 years of interacting with them. We've built rapport, there is trust. And one of the things we've done during this period is then to concentrate on capacity building. And as we've been doing with Cullinan, we've been slowly going out, even though we've sold the mine. But we are working with the community to make sure that they don't feel bereft, they don't feel that De Beers has just dumped them. So for me, that is the true nature of CSI.
And you may find situations in a number of areas where more money is being spent on marketing as opposed to monies reaching the beneficiaries.
The philosophy behind Tshikululu and the funds that it manages is to back centres of excellence, and the way we do that is to look for the champion behind the centre of excellence. We consider all the resources that centre of excellence has, and particularly we look at the sustainability of the business model to see whether, for all the very good intentions that NGOs have, they can survive the good times and the bad times. We back the small guys as well. We look for lots of small donations. And then finally, with the really big projects, we bring a level of technical expertise from Tshikululu These are engineers who actually sit on the steering committees of the projects and make sure that the design of the project and the actual construction is real value add. So, you know, it's not just about giving the money.
It gave us an ability then to be far more professional about choosing the right beneficiaries for our corporate social investment. I think it goes through a far better process, you know, proper organisations, that proper governance structures, that there's a history of giving, a history of them dispersing the monies properly and using those monies properly, because you want to make sure that when you give that money, that it's being utilised in the best possible way.
The reason why, you know, these blue chip organizations come to us is because they see the uniqueness of the offering. You know, that it is much rather than do the work in-house. You know, it is much better to actually, in fact, outsource it, because then you have access to a very wide range of skills which sit inside Tshikululu.
We act as a bridge between corporate and civil society, ensuring on the one hand that the needs of civil society is met and understood, and looking at solutions from the corporate side and working in partnership with civil society to address some of those needs.
We have a team of professionals.
Our teams work across all the sectors: health, education, social development, monitoring and evaluation.
You know, substantially multidisciplined professionals.
And they cover all breadths of the country, travelling to very rural areas to understand the needs, right through to urban areas.
But we also have appropriate governance structures, and our governance structures, you know, apart from those that relate to the company itself, Tshikululu, as an organization, we also have governance structures around each investment, each cause that we invest into, to ensure that the resources are going for the right purpose.
We ensure that those needs are married up and matched up with those of the corporate world, and we work towards developing strategies that make a real difference, that we then implement and monitor to ensure sustainable growth in the country.
The investment which we're making in the social space actually is reaching the correct beneficiaries, and it has the right impact, and that, you know, it is a sustainable investment for that particular cause.
Now and going forward, the more funding we can unlock to address development in a real, meaningful way, that's what keeps us going, and that's what leads us into the future.